Half-Life was a groundbreaking game, a first-person shooter in a cutscene-free world, permanently giving you the camera controls, brimming with action and puzzle solving, backdropped by an alien invasion and mysterious entities. You take on the role of the hazmat-suited Gordon Freeman, theoretical physicist soon to become action hero. Fight your way through waves of hostiles in this 1998 delve into a science experiment gone wrong. Let's see if the right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. Hello there, my name is Red and welcome to Have You Played It? A series diving into a game to critique the good and the bad. So out of nostalgia or curiosity, let me show you Half-Life 1. Now dear viewer, as the intro starts, I'll let you know I had a choice. I could simply play the Steam version of Half-Life. It's playing right now. It's updated with fixes, a non-buggy, stable main menu and widescreen support. Easy to record and play. Or I could play and capture my original copy of Half-Life I've carried from computer to computer for over 20 years. The true original experience. But I should just play the Steam version, right? If I were a normal and stable individual that values my time, I would. But oh dear viewer, that's not me. So original it is. This intro is no doubt burned into the brains of many. A long drifting course through the Black Mesa facility, showcasing the lives of its personnel and machines. A long-winded introduction by today's standards. In today's world, it would be on the cutting room floor, replaced with a high-octane intro with carefully curated bullet points by marketing teams. Looking around, the vignettes of life in the facility play out before you to tell a story, backdropped by a monotone train announcer. First, we see a security guard banging on a door. This is canonically Barney Calhoun, Gordon's friend that plays a companion role in Half-Life 2 and is the protagonist of Half-Life 1's expansion Blue Shift, which actually starts at this exact point. You see some scientists missing a train below, a humanizing experience. The walls as you descend are sometimes grimy and rusted. Mechanization is happening all around. Scientists and guards going about their duties. We briefly pass some rock walls with rather alarming holes as well. Heading deeper, we see a helicopter, its secretive business unknown to us. Secrecy and security is abundant as more security doors shut behind us, encasing you in concrete. You're informed by the on-screen text who you are, Gordon Freeman, age 27. 27? Oh, I feel old now. PhD, MIT, theoretical physicist. Research associate working for the Anomalous Materials Laboratory. Below, a scientist can be seen trying to open a door in this science-heavy room, but it's stuck. Autonomous vehicles go about their duties as we wait for them to clear. You'll briefly stop beside the mysterious blue-suited Gman as he straightens his tie. You'll see him more as you go. No doubt, as a joke, you glide over a radioactive spill as the announcer talks about radiation safety. These scenes all tell a story of a gigantic, advanced facility with many moving parts, but some of it seems old, falling apart even. Finally, your ride comes to a halt. A final loading screen pops and the guard heads towards you. By the time he opens the door, you've passed through 6 loading screens over the course of 5 minutes and 20 seconds. This intro was to show off the ability for scripted sequences and lighting, an introduction to the world of Half-Life and to set the sci-fi tone. But now it's time to head inside for another day in the office. You're greeted with more in the day in life of inter-office admin. The security guard talks of a system failure. Another was reported in your department but assures you it's all fixed now. You're now free to explore this area. Wanting to flex their scripting and interactive muscles, you're able to turn on this computer much to the annoyance of a scientist. He walks over and turns it back off. You can interact with other scientists, mostly just some repeated comments, but others will dynamically greet you as you walk by. Several repeat the comment that you're half an hour late. The G-Man can be seen in a heated argument with a scientist. He snaps his head towards you. It's rather creepy, and considering you saw him elsewhere, him being here is logically most improbable. You can walk into this room and find a movable object. Pressing interact and moving your mouse flings it across the floor. The first steps into object physics. You can also turn off the light. A scientist proclaiming the classic line, "My God, what are you doing?" He turns it back on, showcasing the game's lighting capabilities and reactive scripting at the same time. You're blocked from progressing until you find your suit. In the break room, you can find working vending machines and a microwave. Pressing interact several times causes the food to do this. Parameters are still nominal. My God, what are you doing? It's still fun every time. In the locker room, you have your own locker. On the ground, you find a curious item and a baby picture, implying Gordon may have family, but it's never expanded upon in any game. You can open the glass case and don your suit. The suit welcomes you.
Welcome to the HEV Mark IV Protective System for use in hazardous environment conditions.
It actually goes on like this for a while, basically letting you know you have armor protection, weapons and ammo systems, among other such things. You also have access to a torch with a recharging battery. You can pick up the cube in your locker now. It adds 15 power to your suit, basically a shield. With your suit on, the guard scans you through. An important mechanic is taught here, showing the player eye scans are used to access areas. It comes up a lot later on. Moving past these uniquely styled facility advertisements, you head to a lift that would make health and safety's heads absolutely explode with incredulity. Down below, you get another tour of the facility at work, ending by being greeted by fellow scientists, 3 of the 4 models of scientists that exist in the game. With some science talk of an experiment on a sample, you're asked to head down to the test chamber. The administrators want results. Ahead is a distressing scene of equipment breaking. This all helps build a feeling of suspense and dread. You know something's going to go wrong. The game has been hinting at trouble from the beginning. Below, 2 scientists greet you. More talk of science and pushing the boundaries. Again, you're assured it will be fine. Inside the test chamber, you're prompted over the loudspeaker to head up the ladder and turn on the device in the center. This introduces you to the ladder mechanic of looking in the direction you want to go and pressing forward to move. With the machine whirring away, the sample is raised. Pushing it awkwardly, you don't have long to question why a machine isn't just doing this simple task when everything goes haywire. Energy blasts around you, creatures appear and disappear. The control room screams, unable to shut it down. Their cries are cut short by energy lancing into the viewing port. Your world goes dark. Suddenly you're back in the room as debris crashes down, then bam, you're teleported to an unknown location with an alien landscape and creatures. More darkness abruptly ends with the appearance of 4 alien creatures. Darkness returns until finally and mercifully you're ejected back into the test chamber. The eye scanner breaks upon interacting, allowing you to move to the tabloid of destruction. A scientist fruitlessly trying to revive a security guard. Heading back the way we came, a scientist's body is cruelly crushed under a falling cabinet. Bodies line the halls, and upstairs the 2 scientists lament. They tried to warn them to stop, but they didn't listen. We see our first infamous headcrabs stuck in tubes, one aggressively trying to attack you, keying you into the fact they have a launching attack. Our friend here offers to work the retinal scanner for us, and you're introduced to the follower mechanic. He comments that he's sure your fellow scientists will help you along your way and begs you to get to the surface to get help. This is our main objective. Interacting makes willing NPCs follow you. Getting close to the scanner, they dynamically interact with it. The door ahead is now open. Destructive green energy slams into the walls in front of you, the 4th opening the door ahead. Our first of many hazardous environmental puzzles, this is an easy timed evade. A headcrab teleports in. You have no weapons, so this is a tutorial teaching you to avoid their attacks. Dodging past as it leaps, you run ahead. Straight into another dodging puzzle as red beams loop around the hallway, their ruinous path showing off the destruction and dynamic abilities of the game. The second beam gruesomely cuts a fallen security guard in half. A tone-setting scene, though a little comical in its extremeness. But alas, finally we find the famous crowbar, the melee weapon of many Easter eggs. You've probably seen it in one game or another. You can now break the glass below and crouch walk through. At great personal risk, you can now head back and take on that headcrab if you want. Out of pettiness or curiosity, I'm not blaming you. The wet ground here is also slippery, making you move faster but more uncontrollably. Once again, another low-stakes introduction to a mechanic. Ahead is another grim scene. The elevator falls with several aboard, crashing below. Just be sure not to follow them when having a look. Reloading, you can take the ladder down to grab the energy cell, then head to the top. Here you encounter zombies. The security guard fires upon them, wondering why they're wearing science team uniforms. You can interact with the guards to have them follow you. They use their pistol to fire at enemies. Taking down 2 more zombies, the guard gets an answer to his question. A headcrab sits atop the head of a fallen scientist, cluing you into the headcrab's parasitic transformative nature. You can examine the zombies closely on the ground. Distorted human skulls press through the headcrab's flesh, their chest cavities open. Gruesome and scary for the time. If you'd like, you can go back to the break room. A few treats reward you for exploring down here. The microwave food is sadly still destroyed, but the vending machines work and restore a tiny bit of health when taking a drink. Some pistol ammo is in an open locker. Your own locker seems to have been stocked as well, with 2 more energy cells, and a health station is available. You'll find plenty of these throughout the Black Mesa facility. Moving on, more destruction lies in your path. A vent kindly blows open to let you know you can crouch on through. Sadly, your security guard friend lacks the thighs of steel to crouch on through, so say goodbye here. Greeted by headcrabs and explosions, you move on through. What function this light is achieving other than being annoying is unknown. Jump your way up and through. A nice obstacle course to let you feel out the moving mechanics. A stereotypical scene behind unbreakable glass sees us watching as a scientist successfully defends himself from a headcrab, only to be defeated by another. The other room contains a zombie having a whale of a time, I think. Shots are fired ahead and we see a zombie sliding down the wall as the shooter, a guard, helplessly reaches for the health station. Like a psychopath, we silently stand and watch without helping. But hey, we get our first gun, a pistol. So not all bad, hey security guard. Oh yeah, right. Despite how old Half-Life is, the aiming is still pretty solid. The Steam version is better, but this version's pretty solid for its age. Another rapid introduction sees you catching sight of alien dog-like creatures called Houndeyes. Their sound design is fantastically unique. They generate a harmful shockwave if allowed to charge. Their eyes are more vulnerable to damage. Half-Life makes use of a headshot type system. The pistol is relatively accurate in normal fire, less so with the alternative rapid fire shot. Take down these fellas and experience a shower of gore if you stay near this vent. This happens more than you'd expect. We see the Gman once again ominously observing us. Trying to fire upon him, the bullets simply bounce off. A side door leads above. A few enemies stand around some shockingly non-red barrels, but at least the red danger sign clues you in. They explode most satisfyingly. Explosive splash range in Half-Life is pretty generous, so be careful. The door here is locked, but there's loot inside and a retinal scanner at the door. Exploring around, you can find a scientist hiding and he'll unlock it for you. And we get some lovely grenades. NPCs are incapable of using ladders, so this guy stays behind. You may also remember this is the way the Gman went, but there's no exit here, so he should be here, but he's not. Most curious. A tense moment comes about as something beats against this door. An alien bursts forth, attacking you. Their big red eye is a good headshot target. You'll notice they have green braces and a collar. These creatures, Vortigaunt, become friendlies in Half-Life 2. Here, their collars are a sign of their current enslaved nature. Just ahead, a scientist is cowering in a dumpster. He refuses to leave his hiding place. Coward. Here, you can get a good look at an alive zombie. Their grotesquely ruined bodies are armed with long claws and a mashing open chest. A sight to behold. But we need to head down into the water pipes. At least I hope it's just water. Another quick puzzle. You can't reach the vents above, but a valve fills the pipe, allowing you to swim up and through. Showcasing your ability to swim and rising levels of water is a mechanic. Another fun use of in-game mechanics and physics is utilized with this lift. Pulling the switch causes it to descend and opens a vent, allowing headcrabs into the room. Rushing to descend the platform, you wait. Headcrabs begin to slide down, using their launching attacks to swoop at you. You can dodge left or right, letting them pass you by. It's a fun use of their established attack animation, but taking it one step further. If you're vigilant, you can notice a spot to jump off early at this health station, allowing you to pick off the survivors from above. Down below are crates and another hidden tutorial. An enemy spawns atop this box. Shooting it once, it falls through the top. This clues you into the fact that these boxes are breakable. Curious crowbar wielders will be rewarded with the occasional loot from a box. Speaking of curious, you can investigate the water, which leads to being grinded up, so not recommended. The waterways are blocked, so we can only head in one direction here. Ahead is a bridge and a new enemy is spawned above it. It launches its ranged attack at us while falling through the bridge, destroying it, forcing you to improvise with some jumping. It leads to a vent you can bust through and creep inside. Vent traversal is a major part of Half-Life. Gordon's thighs of steel getting their workout today. You can bust through the first vent you come across or head through to the end. The end pops you out to the other side of the bridge. If you go through the first, like I did, you fall and get damaged. Opening a door at the lower part opens up to a scene of the new enemy we saw before attacking headcrabs. Curious that not all aliens seem to get along. It gets you thinking about the possibilities of why. It's storytelling without saying anything. This new room shows us a few things. The Bullsquids can melee, and we know about their ranged attack already. These curious ceiling creatures are your first learn by doing enemy. You haven't been visually told what they do. Their cables join several swinging light bulbs around, which by the way look like they are physics-based but don't react to being hit. You can also push barrels and crates into the water to discover they float and move with the currents. You'll discover these ceiling creatures, called Barnacles, will start to pull you up if you touch their, well, basically tongues. You need to shoot them before you reach their excited mashing maws. You get dropped and showered in gore. In a nice bit of reactionary animation, their tongues adapt to the new height if you move a crate under them. When you head above, you get a commanding view of the water canal and a sight line to your next objective over another broken bridge. These small brown crates drop some loot loot as well, a reward for checking the non-critical path. Jumping into the water, another grinder greets you, but it's charitably low. Water surfaces are opaque in Half-Life, so you can't really look before you leap. Swimming, you can find a ladder leading to the other side of the canal. Moving on, we're led to another jumping puzzle. This one's a bigger one, testing your jumping control. You can jump forward, stopping your momentum by tapping backwards. You're not attacked and timing isn't an issue, allowing you to feel out at your own pace how air control works. Safely on the other side, you'll move forward to find yourself on the other side of that bridge. If you haven't collected those earlier boxes, you'd see them here too, giving the curious an option to still go back. Now we finally get to enjoy a sane version of a lift, leading to an office complex in Black Mesa. You're greeted with a scientist being pulled into the roof. Your attention is quickly drawn down the hallway as a headcrab is exploded by a lance of electricity. It's a gaming classic, getting an enemy or an ally to showcase the dangers to you. These doors are locked, but through it we see the ceiling burst open and a scientist is pulled up to his demise by a barnacle. Another teaching moment. Be very afraid of the ceiling. This area is where Half-Life starts to show its horror vibes, flickering lights and dark corridors creating a tense atmosphere. If you didn't learn your lesson about the dangers of electricity, it's reinforced when getting close, slamming into the ground, destroying a portion of it, so that way is a no-go. But the lighting and the placement of that strike brings your eye to this vent, your only way to progress. The major downside to not having cutscenes is the requirement for reinforcing mechanics and dangers. You can't guarantee the player will be looking. You can mitigate that by using lighting and sound smartly, like Half-Life does most of the time, this area being a prime example. This area is the first time you're properly inclined to turn on your torch, lighting your path through the shadows. In the locked room, you can destroy the barnacle. In a nice bit of reactionary behavior, the scientist nearby cowers when you fire your weapon, both physically and vocally. What a nerd. In this room, you can be caught out by more barnacles dropping, encouraging you to look up, spotting the more off-color panels. It's very common in older games. Destructible objects often have slightly different lighting. A nice extra touch is found in this vending machine containing triangles with legs, presumably roaches. In the next room, you can find the switch to turn off the lightning hallway. It's usually wise to leave scientists in safety before having them follow you as they can perish. Some are mission critical and you fail if they don't survive. The vent also had a blocked route we didn't go down. It was barred by a spinning fan, but with the power off we can now go inside and grab the loot. You can also step on some triangles with legs here. They squish, which is a nice but gross touch. If you've left your torch on for a while now, around here is where you'll probably notice it has a battery life. Fortuitously it recharges rather quickly. Now we come across our first required crouch jump. You can't jump through this window normally. You need to jump then crouch mid-air. It's an interesting and required mechanic to learn, as you'll need to use it every now and again. Ahead there are seemingly a few choices. A room filled with water and electricity, another double red door, a way ahead, and an out-of-place wooden door. The door doesn't really fit in and has no handle, so you could be forgiven for ignoring it. Investigating it, you get a little jump scare. Trying to pull the gap open, the zombie wanders around inside, smashing furniture in a rage before finally destroying the door. The double doors are locked, so moving ahead you can make your way through crates blocking the way, with a cheeky headcrab hidden behind the last for a nice surprise. Just around the corner you get your shotgun. A guard is ahead as well. A zombie walks out behind him. If you help him out, he'll open the door for you. The zombie can take him down, so be quick. Your reward is some more ammo and a guard friend. Below are some more crates with some extra loot. Heading back, the guard follows you, even through loading zones, but their pathing isn't the best, sometimes requiring reactivation. I headed back here to get the scientist, but the door is locked and he refuses to follow.
I refuse to go another step.
But now it's time to ill-advisedly jump into an electrified room filled with water. Another jumping puzzle with the added danger of electrified water and a headcrab. So now jumping, hazardous environments and enemies are all stacked in one puzzle. With the light switch off, you can move through the water. Another vent leads to a spinning blade with what seems like infinite headcrabs spawning above it. I waited here for a while and they didn't seem to stop. Falling down to the other side of the red double door, you can get your guard friend and move on. The next area requires you to drag over two boxes, allowing you to jump up. The game always uses metal boxes or barrels to ensure you don't lock yourself out of the main path. Below we get our next enemy in the form of a hostile turret. Again, the classic show and tell with a scientist being taken down by it. The turret attacks anything that moves, including you. You can throw a grenade and destroy it, or find its switch to deactivate it. I run back to get my guard friend. In here you can collect the shotgun if you missed it earlier. A handy trick if ammo is a problem is to let a guard take out things like headcrabs. Ahead we hear gunfire. Half-Life often lets you hear events before seeing them, enforcing the desire to quickly push forward to not miss what's happening. It helps the world feel more alive and like you're just in time or just too late to help. I now have two guard friends. The more the merrier. Now you can enter another office type area. Two scientists meet their end just inside.
Ah!
another vent of gore. Again, audio plays a huge role here. The alien voices throughout these halls making you feel jumpy. I also run into a problem. With two friends, moving through doorways can be tricky. They're programmed to move when you bounce into them, but it's a rather lackadaisical walk. These halls are filled with Vortigaunt. We now need to fight several, upping the ante. I also experienced friendly fire from Guard Friend 2, the jerk. You now need to sweep through the halls, dodging dropping headcrabs and Vortigaunt. Sadly, I lost a Guard Friend ahead. You'll be remembered forever, Guard Friend number 2. You stumble upon a scientist here, leaving my guard to, well, guard him. I head back. You can find another scientist hiding in this room. Bidding him follow, instead he runs back to the light switch and turns off the lights. I think he wants to hide in the dark, but I take him along with me instead. Now, with multiple NPCs, you may notice they actually interact with each other.
Can't get any worse than this, can it? Of course.
This scientist mentions a radio call and soldiers being on their way to help, a foreshadowing of events to come, but again easily missed in this cutscene-free world. You press on upstairs and straight into another turret. This cheeky turret is placed perfectly to take out your followers if you're not careful. A new box is near a zombie, this one orange striped with explosives written on it in large but blurry letters. The turret can be taken out with a few grenades, allowing you to bring up NPCs. I ran into a problem here. It seems that only 2 followers are allowed. I suspect pathing limitations is the reason. Their pathing really shows their age trying to get them up these stairs. It's not really necessary, but I wanted to try. One scientist refuses to go further than the stairs. The guard stops working after the loading screen zone. He simply just stops moving. Curiously, he starts working if you go back, then stops again if you go forward. Only one scientist works all the way through to meet up with this other guard. This guard is another story beat to repeat the earlier message.
Hey, what the hell are you doing down here? Get topside. I hear troops are coming in to save us.
For the first time down here, we get the typical exploration reward with an added punishment. Vortigaunt spawn once you collect your loot. A vent leads to a very long-winded reward. Through the vent, up the ladder, over a broken fan, down a vent, over sparking pipes, through another vent, then fight some headcrabs, now through another vent, around the top, another vent, surprisingly another vent, balance over beams, a headcrab, wall trap, another vent, through the ceiling and drop down. All that for a room with a bit of ammo and health. Side note, you can shoot through the gaps of vents to take down these headcrabs, which is nice. There's nothing worse than shots being blocked despite clear gaps. It shows good modeling work. Down below you come across a macabre scene of a zombie feeding off this scientist, pressing its hands into its gnashing open stomach. Breaking through the barricade, I try to take the guard and scientist, but the scientist refuses to move past here, so it's just you and me, guard friend. Courageous but stupid, he doesn't last long, rushing into more eating zombies and getting taken out in one swing. And sadly, these blurry pictures of tea and coffee machines simply don't work. You now enter a freezer, your feet sliding under this iced area. Inside you can save another scientist from an acid splash demise. Despite the fact it attacks you, I must say the final sounds of these bullsquids is rather sad, sounding a lot like a wounded animal, much like the Houndeyes you encountered earlier. Both these creatures give the sense of aggressive but clueless wild animals dropped into unfamiliar surroundings. In this freezer, we have our first moving puzzle. Flip the switch and make your way up. You need to time your movements to get across. It's very basic, but again, it's an introduction to the mechanic. The vent you enter is dark, requiring you to rely fully on your torch for vision, and despite hearing it, I still get scared by this headcrab. I'm fairly certain every time I've played this game, this headcrab scares me. Again, another macabre scene, this time with human skulls littered around barnacles. More vents lit only by your rather unsatisfactory torch, you break out into another scene. Quick shooting helps this scientist and guard survive. Once again, you find yourself at the other side of a sightline, this time the other side of a once locked door which this fleeing scientist unlocked. The guard gives you your next objective.
Hey, don't count on the cavalry finding us down here. Head for the surface. Elevators are out of order, but we can still climb.
As you can tell, the voice acting isn't always the greatest, but topside it is, so up we go. You get another glimpse of the Gman, straightening his tie once again behind this locked door. What is your game, sir? Sadly, he declines to answer a man talking to his screen. Up next, a scientist excitedly jumps through a window while 2 zombies burst out. At the end of the hall is a broken lift. Looking up, we can see a scientist holding on for dear life. One moment, friend, I just need to go get some loot. Some ammo and health set you up nicely for a running jump. Launching across, you grab the ladder. Some real action hero stuff. Moving up, the scientist tragically falls. Breaking into the elevator, you get your next chapter. To counter what I described earlier, a little too much happens here to observe properly.
For God's sake, open the silo door! They're coming for us! It's our only way out! Oh my God, we're doomed!
I didn't really see the scientists set off the trip mine, but our next objective was at least revealed, getting this door open as safety and rescue isn't far away it seems. Occasionally you'll find these stations. They're the counterpart to first aid, charging your suit. You're forced to walk through these red beams, their bases are indestructible. Doing so activates turrets, different to the installed ones from earlier. A body nearby is different, a soldier that dropped our next weapon, the machine gun. You come across your own trip mine as well, a blue beam helping you see it. You can jump over and avoid the laser beams, the crouch jumping playing a key role. You can of course simply shoot them. I also like how the vending machines spray out cans when you destroy them, in this case a Vortigaunt's attack hitting it. It's very action movie. This corridor of red beams is fun, dodging them like you're in a spy movie. A slippery floor is next, another traversal mechanic. The slippery floor sign gives an additional visual cue. Ignoring these sends you flying down to the open lift shaft ahead and a reload is required. Up ahead you'll start to hear radio chatter. Finally finding the soldiers, you watch as a scientist happily greets them, only to be gunned down. When noticed, you're fired upon too. Is this the supposed cavalry? Are these some other agents or humanoid aliens? Your questions go unanswered as you fight through a maze of turrets and troops. They take a lot more damage and are smarter. They run around, throw grenades and try to flank. They even cheekily place grenades on the ground, hoping to catch you as you run by. Fighting through, watching more helpless scientists get gunned down, you come to an area, a split path. Taking the more difficult path leads to the above area of the other path. The easy path is indeed a trap. It's filled with soldiers, so being above raining down grenades is much easier. This area really showcases the fast-paced action you can enjoy. It's up to you to either walk around slowly or enjoy Gordon Freeman's lightning speed and swoop around like it's a Quake game. With the hostiles cleared up, finally getting out under the open sky as it rather rudely rains hellfire down upon you. Soldiers fill the area as a gunship flies around. Explosions pound the ground and you may find yourself reloading here a couple times. This area teaches you sometimes it's better to run, which is indeed what you need to do, diving down a ladder as the gunship circles above. If this were a modern game, this is where the player would be dumped at the start. High octane action with rockets slamming into the ground, before cutting back to the train intro. Into a vent, the roof excitingly explodes. Several soldiers rappel down, opening fire. You come across several vents, leading to different locations. If you explore, you return to previously inaccessible areas from before, all with some juicy loot to find. The critical path takes you past a spinning blade and down a very long vent to come out into the security room. Again, the game loop of leading away and then returning to the same area. A scientist inside confirms what you definitely suspected.
Well, so much for the government. Their idea of containment is to kill everyone associated with the project.
Yes, it seems the government has decided on the old cover-up job, silencing anyone involved, including you. Our task is now to head across the facility to the Lambda complex, seeking out a way to end the alien invasion. From here, you journey forth, battling and puzzle-solving your way across the Black Mesa facility, delving into its depths, encountering strange new aliens, battling a military hell-bent on hunting you down, assembling an arsenal of weapons trying to survive the onslaught. You're constantly given small objectives to complete and reach your overarching goal. Solve a puzzle, parkour your way around and fight to reach the next area, facing stacking mechanics as you go. The game will give a smart introduction to a mechanic, typically leading to an advanced version later. Adding on top are constant rewards for exploring and investigating. The game is definitely hindered by lack of cutscenes occasionally. You can't trust a player will see everything, so sound design, lighting and ensuring the player isn't overly stimulated is very important. It's something they've done well most of the time. Dark tones mixed with action-packed events are spread throughout the game, leaving you wanting more, questioning what's next, and excited to continue. You'll face new foes and see new things. The level design is often fantastic, looping around, giving you sightlines to your next objective, letting you see things first and problem solving as you explore. Sometimes the level design suffers with the requirements of loading screens. You'll find unnecessarily long or zigzagging corridors to accommodate these loading zones. Their existence in-universe doesn't always make sense. The developers made good use of what they had, rarely missing a chance to reuse a mechanic and try their best to build a new and exciting area with the limited resources of the time. The Gman is an intriguing mystery, a reward for the vigilant, a seemingly impossibly moving entity, observing and potentially interfering with your path. The physics are basic and not really physics as we know them, but very much new for the time. To be able to move a box and watch it float on water in an organic and player interaction orientated way was amazing. The voice acting is okay. Sometimes it's not too bad, other times it's a bit dry and flat. Half-Life garnered 2 expansions, Blue Shift where you play as Barnacles Barney Calhoun, and Opposing Force, playing as Adrian Shepard, a soldier that didn't receive the silence order at Black Mesa. So beloved is Half-Life, it even received a fan-made remake with Black Mesa, now authorized by Valve and available on Steam, a fantastic, polished and modernized version filled with detail and love for the franchise. This groundbreaking game has brought joy to countless people. The cascading effect Half-Life has had on the industry is incalculable, but one of many examples is the fact that Counter-Strike started as a mod in Half-Life 1. The gaming world would have been a much different, lesser version of itself without Half-Life. It took the world by storm, and all these years later, it's still a fun, brilliant experience. Half-Life returned with critical acclaim many years later with a sequel, but that's for another time. Let me know in the comments if you've played Half-Life. I'd love to hear from you. I also highly recommend the Steam version, as my old version is a bit rough 20 plus years on. Thank you very much for watching, and always remember,
With my brains and your brawn, we'll make an excellent team.
goodbye for now.